The term probable cause was very controversial. How do we know when someone is probably undocumented? Is it the way they speak? Is it the way they look? Is it where they're from? How do we make this judgment?
Okay, that sounds familiar. That sounds a lot like the question in Arizona, the question of how do we determine who's illegal? How do we determine when police should stop people? Do they look to be like illegal immigrants? Well, that very issue is the topic of a documentary called 95 Liberty, not about Arizona, but about Prince William County in Virginia, which is a suburb of Washington, D.C., where a very similar issue came up. We have with us the producer-directors, Annabelle Park and Eric Byler. Thank you both very much for joining us. So, 95 Liberty, tell me, how did it all start? What was the story of this particular law proposition?
9500 Liberty is the story of Prince William County, Virginia, where I actually live. A law very similar to SB 1070 was passed in July of 2007. In fact, this law was written by the same anti-immigration lobbying firm in Washington who wrote the law in Arizona. The law required the police to check the immigration status of anyone they had probable cause to think was an undocumented immigrant, and it led to all sorts of unintended consequences, including economic and public safety negative impacts, and so the law was repealed after 2 months of implementation. Our film is basically the story of how the public engaged in the fight, and then actually the fact-finding that was necessary to come to a more positive resolution.
Right. So public opinion is one of the keys to this whole debate, and in Arizona there are, polls, they keep quoting polls saying, oh, most people favor the law, they really don't want illegal immigrants, they favor police stopping it. What was the public opinion situation in Prince William County for this?
2 months before they passed this law, they did a public satisfaction survey, and only 3% identify illegal immigration as an important issue. But somehow, between that poll and the law passing, there was a kind of campaign of, I think, misinformation, largely misinformation, that really toxified the whole debate about immigration. And by the time they voted, there was support, considerable support for doing a crackdown on illegal immigration.
Okay. Let's listen to one of the people who was supporting that law. We have a clip here.
Learn how to speak English.
I speak English just fine.
You do, but these people don't.
I talk English and what?
No.
I'm sorry, y'all.
Yeah. Why am I upset?
Yeah, I just want to understand.
Okay. I went to Lowe's today, and the cashier was speaking Spanish. I particularly don't enjoy speaking Spanish in my country when our Constitution, our laws are being ignored by a whole group of people.
Bunch of people. So laws being ignored by a whole bunch of people, I mean, that is the standard. And if you go out and ask the American people, is it okay for laws to be ignored by, quote, illegal immigrants, or call them undocumented workers? I mean, that's the ultimate issue. So how is that addressed here in this particular case?
Yeah. Well, I think it's one thing to say we're against illegal immigration, and I think most people are, including people who are here undocumented. They don't want to be documented. But the fact is we have undocumented. We don't have a functioning, immigration system right now. Our laws are broken. They just don't work anymore. And so instead of focusing on trying to enforce laws that don't work, I feel like, we really need to focus on how to fix the laws. And SB 1070 is the same as being against illegal immigration. It's a very particular law,
There's no direct comparison really between the two things.
Yeah, that has going to present.
But it addresses public worries. It seems to address
emotionally.
Yeah, right.
But in terms
of policy.
Okay, well, so we have this example in Prince William County.
Right.
What was the outcome? It was repealed. What were the unintended consequences?
Well, first of all, in terms of public safety, what was advertised was that there was a crime wave in Prince William County. That actually didn't turn out to be true. Once you actually look at the crime statistics, crime had been going down during the 15 years that the immigrant population had been growing. Then what we had is an immigration culture war that destroyed trust between communities of color and police. The witnesses weren't coming forward, crimes weren't being reported, and we actually had a period where crime was going up. And there was severe underreporting And crimes like domestic violence, where people are afraid to go to.
And then there were
police.
economic consequences as well.
Absolutely.
In terms of many people moving out of the county and moving to another state. And there, all of this documented in the film called 9500 Liberty, which is showing at 2 theaters here in the Bay Area. It's at the Lumiere Theater in San Francisco and the Elmwood Theater, that's the Rialto Cinemas Elmwood in Berkeley. For more details, you can go to 9500liberty.com. Thank you both very much for joining us. Thanks for creating a fascinating documentary. We're going to take a break. When we come back, oh, did I mention that we're going to be talking gardening? Yes, we are. We're going to tell you how to get plants for free.